Welcome back to 1010th Podcast with Michael and Adam and Robbie. Let's kick it off. You're here.
Welcome back to the number one Time Attack
podcast.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Before we do Time Attack stuff.
We have a letter?
We have a letter. Yes.
Did Tim write a letter to go with the water?
Yeah.
So painfully, Tim.
It says, Dear,
I love Tim.
Dear Sirs.
Much. Tim's so good.
Dear Sirs of the Fractional Tens, I have experienced firsthand your propensity for drinking fine water and would like to bestow upon you a sampling of exquisite waters from Bath, England. Included are your typical offerings of still and sparkling water. Please ensure Sir Adam, goes full 10/10 and evaluates both options. Cheers, Tim. He's going to the UK again this week.
Nice.
Sirs of the Fractional Tens.
The Fractional Tens.
That's my new favorite thing.
So I've got 2 bottles. And it's called Bath Water.
Bath Water.
And he obviously explained why it's called Bath Water, because it's from Bath, England. It's just spring water, but it's from Bath. Funny name, etc. It's in a glass bottle. This is the sparkling one.
Drawn from organic land.
Do you know that sometimes hot chicks sell their bath water on the internet?
Dude, they sell some weird stuff on the internet. Here, I just got you.
It's really upsetting that that's a thing.
There's one behind your computer, Robbie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to hold it for you.
Oh.
Yeah, people sell weird shit.
How rude of me.
No, it's not weird that they sell it. It's weird that people buy it.
I think a little bit of both.
If someone wanted to buy my toenail clippings, I'd sell it. It's weird that they buy it.
Absolutely not, Robbie.
No, if someone wants to buy it, they can have it.
All right, well, on the group, and someone asks for toenails.
I got race car things to buy. If someone wants to buy weird shit off me, be my guest.
If you decide that you want to buy Robbie's toenails, please make that a private message to Robbie and not
We don't want to know
the
about it,
page.
actually.
Let's do it on the group in public.
Leave me out of that.
We don't want any part of it.
We can negotiate prices later. I am for sale. I have a race car to build.
I've had a drink while we were talking about Robbie's toenails. It's sparkling water.
Sparkling bath water?
To be fair.
Is it flavored?
It's not flavored.
I don't know how people drink this with a straight face.
I wish it had flavored. It's not bad. It's kind of
Would you like some still water?
It's like a LaCroix, but it doesn't have any of the fun parts of it.
Get through it. I poured you a very small amount.
You did pour me less, though, to be fair.
You can have that. I got this. I don't need.
Yeah.
So bad. I'm glad I brought
Just take the whole thing
with
here
me today. Oh,
have some regular water.
I'll chase it with some regular bath water.
Well, resoundingly, it tastes like water.
Yeah, I was hoping it would. Every time I get a sparkling water, I always expect some sort of aftertaste, flavor, something. So that's what disappoints me about it.
It's a very clean, crisp water.
Crisp water.
There's no weird. So like
Fairly fine bubbles, but it does have quite a bit of carbonation.
the place I work at provides cases of water for us to drink, and we just they just buy like Hy-Vee water by the pallet load, and we get that. It's their branded water. Hy-Vee's our local grocery store, right?
Yep.
And it tastes strongly of chlorine. And when it's just like room temperature and not actually kept cold, it's so hard to drink. Bath water's not that way though.
Bath water's good.
It's very
clean tasting, clean finish.
There's no weird.
I always thought it was weird. I mean, I get why, but that they put chlorine in our water occasionally.
Yeah.
Or fluoride.
Well,
maybe
fluoride's
that's what
a
it
different
is.
thing.
I don't know.
But it's got a chemically taste to it.
Yeah, it's got a weird chemically aftertaste.
Nah, it's just the minerals. It's good for you.
No.
It's organic.
No.
That's why you don't have British person teeth.
Yep. When I first saw this and it
true.
said bath water, I didn't realize it was from Bath, England. I thought there was just some gimmick.
Right. Yeah.
It is a little gimmicky. I mean, that's kind of the point.
Well, it's from Bath, so it's a little better, but...
How much would you hate to live in a town called Bath?
He lives in a town called Cumming.
It's
with
way...
a U.
The title of this being called Bath Water reminded me of The Shot, Come in a Hot Tub. Because that's what I figured it would be like. Just some like weird joke.
Is that something that's served at the Cumming bar or
No,
what?
well, it's served at every bar.
I've never heard of this before.
It's
If I was a bartender, I would not serve it to you. Under
again
principle.
now?
I can't drink it. Even when I was drinking, I couldn't drink it.
Right, yeah.
So it
You're
is...
probably going to get kicked off YouTube if you bring that picture up.
No, it's fine.
What is it?
It is a shot.
Okay.
Half vodka, half rum, and a couple shots of Bailey.
Or a little drips of Bailey. Some
and so in the drips,
drizzle.
that's disgusting.
It looks
Isn't
like
that gross?
It looks like jism in a hot tub.
That's so gross.
That's what I thought this was. It was like
Why?
from
Who
the best
comes
of bad.
up with this shit?
Drunks.
Yeah, professional alcoholics.
Professional drunks.
I don't approve
Bartenders.
of this.
Bartenders. Well, maybe not a bartender. That sounds like something stupid that some moron came up with in his basement.
If I was going to drink that, I would require that it be made on top of the bar.
They could watch it.
Yes.
I think that's fair of any drink.
I think there's probably
You don't
some-
make that with your back turned to me. I want to see you make that.
I think that should be just a general rule for all drinks.
That's not
all drinks.
That's not like unfair either. But that one in specific is an absolute requirement.
We actually had a conversation on whether or not I should bring that up. I made it.
That's fine.
I made it.
You got through it. It wasn't so bad.
About it.
It wasn't too bad. It's gross though.
It is gross.
It's super.
You
gross.
know what it is. It's still gross.
It's weird.
Yep.
But this bathwater's good.
The bathwater's good. Yeah. I'll give him that. I don't know that it was worth him bringing it all the way over here from England, but
We haven't had a water in a while though.
I know. But
So
well,
I appreciate
a few
that.
people have them. It's just a matter of us getting connected with them.
We have one that you'll hate. I can't wait. I'm gonna love it.
Is it like some sort of extreme hoppy refresher or what?
No.
Did Scott hook us up? Is he like making a hoppy refresher?
No,
no.
Just to
No, Scott's out.
aggravate me?
Scott's out of the biz.
I figured he'd be doing it in his closet like everybody else.
No.
though.
No, Scott's
okay.
Scott's just a consumer and an admirer at this point.
Oh, that seems way less stressful.
Yeah, no, there's not any money in making beer on a small scale.
No, probably not.
There's too many people trying. He's going to argue with me about this, but I think there's too many people in the market trying to make beer out of like a shop.
Dude, there's so many of them just in this town. Like, I realize that we have a large number of hipsters per capita, but we have a ton of local breweries that just make their own stuff and sell it out of their front door. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that the distillery.
Yeah.
The one in Cumming. They do a batch a month,
Yeah.
and it sells out the first day.
Yeah.
That's their business model.
There's one of those right down the street from Katie's mom's house.
that's
in
crazy to me.
Bancroft, Iowa. And it's like in the old dentist's office. And
That-
now it's a distillery, and it's the same way.
Yeah, Mason City's got one too.
small distilleries
Everyone's got one.
are, in my experience, not that great. I don't know if there's something about scale. Some of it's experience and aging that you can't do when it's that small. You know.
Tell that to Templeton.
Yeah, but Templeton's been around for a long time. Templeton's
true.
huge.
Yeah, they're not a small deal anymore.
No, that's not small.
They built a
don't-
giant building.
They don't even make it here anymore.
No?
I don't believe so. Somebody can fact check me on that, but I don't think they make it.
I know
here
somebody. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Thomas just went and toured it. Not too
Were they
long.
making it there?
I didn't.
They might be
I didn't
making
ask a
small
lot of
batches there,
questions.
but they're not like producing
Oh, I didn't ask any
at a
questions.
high level there, is what I heard.
That wouldn't at all surprise me.
No, not even a little bit.
Anywho,
Yeah.
that was your water. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
It's good.
That might be
I'm
my
refreshed.
favorite letter we've ever gotten as well.
We can keep it.
It's right
It's
up there.
very
We
English.
could hang it on the wall.
I like Sirs of the Fractional Tenths. That's
Surge of the fractional tens.
Tens?
Tens.
We
yeah.
are
fractional tens.
We are tens.
Or fractional tens.
Word up, Robbie. I needed that today.
To
Thank
make you feel better,
We're all tens.
let's get Adam Jabay on here and bring us all back down again.
Nah, he lifts my spirits.
That's good.
He's a good time. He said he wanted to come back on here for, I don't know why, but
Just to hang out because we're
I think-
friends.
I think that's
He
what
needs to
it is.
come through Iowa and then hang out with us and be on the show live. That'd be way better.
We haven't figured out how to do that, though.
Austin Cabot texted me last time he was in town.
No, I mean, like,
He was
where,
driving through, but
where are we going to put a fourth person?
we could fit more people here.
This is going to be so...
Stick him in the corner.
That's like right
Scoot
here,
over.
you know, between my armpit and my hand, right here. Just hug it out a little bit.
The whole time. You guys can just hug and share a mic.
Yeah, we could do that, or I could just hold his hand. That'd be a little better, I think, because then I'm not leaning.
You got to do what you got to do to get the hug, Robbie.
I suppose if I hold his hand for an hour, does that count as a hug?
No.
No?
No.
All right, fair enough.
If he steps into Michael's house and does not hug you at that point,
I'm done with this podcast.
That's rude.
I'm done with
very
Grid
rude.
Life. I can't go. The director disrespected me.
Yeah, except you're the time attack director now for the DMVR.
I got my
you
own
gotta
time
deal with
attack
them.
to
you're
deal
a
with.
competitor.
No,
Nah.
we're not competitors.
Allies. You got to deal with them though.
Yeah, we're allies.
I agree with
Under-
that statement.
It's professional only at that point.
Yeah, when they sell out, they can send them my way. That's how it works.
It's not a bad plan.
Grid Life sold out, but there's an event in St. Louis this weekend. Huh? Just go to St. Louis.
Robbie just wants to race at Gateway every weekend.
That's not true. I want to race the hell out every weekend.
Oh, well, that's fair.
He did say that.
That's fair.
All right, Adam, what do you got for your opener, sir?
So last weekend was my favorite event of the year that I've never gotten to attend and is highly on my bucket list, World Time Attack Challenge. And because we are the number one Time Attack podcast, we need to talk about the number one Time Attack event. So there's a website called Inside Time Attack who's I'm kind of stealing their article. So thank you, Inside Time Attack. I don't know who it is that runs it, but he is deeply embedded in
the Time Attack world,
in especially the Australian Time Attack world. And so, like, following him along this last week was pretty cool. So, but they put together kind of a spotter's guide for the Pro and Pro-Am classes, and then they also did one for Open, which we're not going to cover because it's way too many cars, even though
there's a lot of cars.
Arguably, I kind of like the Open class better because there's some cooler cars in there, and there's more cars in there, which is kind of interesting. But this is like, so like, you know, we've seen a lot of pretty what we think as pretty wild Time Attack cars, right?
Sure.
James's car, Will's car, Pro Awesome's car,
Yep.
you know, all those.
Yep.
You know, I've seen Life Motorsports GTR, stuff like that. Like, and Life is on this list because they were there this year. But like, most of those cars are pretty tame in comparison to,
which is crazy to think,
to some of the cars that are on this list.
Right.
So, certainly, these are all shop cars, whereas, you know, Will and James and those guys are
privateers.
Individuals building cars. Granted, they have sponsorship packages, and I have no idea what the economies of that is, but I'm sure that they're not small sums of money, but they're still not, you know, international company shop cars.
Right.
So there is a difference there, and hopefully North American Time Attack gets to that point at some point, but we're not quite to where the Australian guys are yet. So to me, that's what makes this even more interesting is the level that these cars are at. Every single one of these cars is professionally designed aerodynamics packages. Their cars are not built in fragments. You know, everything is built as a package with a purpose.
Yep.
Every little nook and cranny has been thought of. Every little thing has been,
from the splitter to the diffuser.
right.
They know exactly where the air is going.
Yes, and then like even though, you know, where the engine ends up in the car is all planned out as part of the aero package.
Right.
So like these cars, they're something else. So we're just gonna roll through this and kind of talk about some of the things in these cars. There's Porsches on this list. There's Evos on this list. Nice. There's S chassis on this list.
Yes.
There's SR20s on this list.
No.
If you want to call them that, we'll get there, Robbie. Let's do this.
Where are we at?
So first up, scroll down a little farther, Robbie. He's got a little intro. The guy that wrote this, his name is Andrew Brilliant. He is one of the biggest names in aerodynamic design.
Yep.
A handful of the cars on this list he designed himself. Wow. So, you know, he's no slouch. But he kind of went through this and he rated cars on different things. I mostly just want to talk about the cars because the event is already over, so it doesn't really matter. The first car on this list, the one that actually won this year and won last year, currently holds the lap
Yep.
record at Sydney Motorsports Park, is the tin top record as they call it.
Yep.
Is 1/10 of a second off of Nico Rosberg's Formula 2 overall lap record.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The RP968. So
that's crazy.
Air quotes Porsche.
Nice.
It's a 968 chassis.
It's not really a Porsche anymore.
No.
It's not really
So
anything
Pro
anymore.
Class, I've never actually read like deeply through their class rules for World Time Attack, but I know that they still have to have some level of factory chassis. There's like a percentage, and the rest of it can
Like
be tube.
4%.
It has to be like, you mean,
It
like
has to have
the car is
frame
all
rails.
but a tube frame chassis with like the floor pan and firewall.
Yes.
You know, but so yeah,
The quarter panels might be somewhat.
No, that car is top to bottom 150%
replaced.
carbon fiber.
Yes, it's the best.
So I can't substantiate any numbers. I've read $3 to $4 million to build worth of
wow
build and development in that car.
Wow.
So that car has a motor that we have seen the last 2 years at PRI. I have freaked out about it both years. I don't know that you guys grasped what was going on there. That has a 4-liter billet 4-cylinder in it, made by a group called Elmer Racing, which is in some Scandinavian country that I don't remember off the top of my head now. They call it Thor.
Okay.
They claim that it's more than capable of making 2,000 horsepower in a time attack package, and more than that in a drag car package.
Wow.
It's a deal. So
Yeah,
it's
just a
all
little.
billet,
God,
head,
dang.
block, the whole 9 yards.
It's good.
I mean,
It's all good.
yeah. So this was one of the first cars I ever saw that effectively used, instead of making the big kind of trend right now is moving away from using splitters and actually using wings as the front package.
Yeah.
So like it looks like a splitter to someone who doesn't really know what they're looking at, but that's a wing on the front of that car, and the air is ducted through the car and up over it and all that stuff. And like they don't even call them splitters anymore. They call them wings.
Yep.
So that was funny. They made a T-shirt that I wish I could have bought, but I think they were only selling there. And it had a course map or a track map, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And turn 1 is a really fast left-hand sweeper at Sydney Motorsports Park. And they don't lift through turn 1. So they go all the way down the front straight and through turn 1. They're doing like 280K or something like that. It's just fucking stupid fast. And so they cross out 1 and they cross out 2 and they write kink next to 1 and change 2 to 1. And on the bottom of the shirt it says it's not a corner if you don't lift. And I want it so bad. It's so cocky.
That's an awesome shirt.
I love that shirt so much. I want it so bad, but I think they were only going to sell it in their pits, which is super, super lame. So this is built by some Porsche tuner, PR tech, there in the land down under.
So they don't exist.
I mean, they got to kind of exist. They're
Allegedly.
all over the YouTubes. Watching this car, the in-car of this going around the lap, I sent it to you guys earlier this week.
Oh, yeah.
It literally looks like it's in fast forward.
Right.
Like it looks like the guy is slowly driving around and then they turned it up like 2 speed because it's so smooth. Like when you watch in-car of a lot of the local time attack cars, they're really rough.
Oh, yeah.
When they get on the brakes and onto the curbs, I mean, the car's just being thrown all over. Dude, it looks like he's out for a Sunday cruise.
Like no happy hands, nothing.
Car's just smooth. It soaks up the bumps. Dude, I don't get it.
That's a
the amount of
well-dialed
development
card.
in this car is silly. So their goal is basically since the conception of the car, I think it's 4 or 5 years old, is to take the overall lap record there. So this year they shaved another half a second off of their last year's best, and they are currently a 10th off.
That's crazy.
So from last year to this year, it was mostly just small chassis refinements. They moved the engine back and down, and they changed the location of some coolers and added this crazy duct on the top of the car to bring air down into it and then out the tunnels in the back and stuff like that. And so it was just little changes, whereas in years past, it's been significant changes like the billet motor and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah, despite the fact that it's kind of a silly Porsche, it's still one of my favorite cars in the entire world. It's kind of a terrible, like if you're going to build a
Don't start with a
if
968.
you're going to build a world dominating time
Nope.
attack Porsche,
I'd even
was
start
like-
with the 944.
who was like, let's build a 968. Let's do that.
You literally could have picked anything.
But dude, there's 2 of them on this list.
Maybe it's not getting the
Maybe we
credit
don't.
it
Maybe we don't
deserves.
know about the
There's-
968.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe
there's
everybody's
clearly,
sleeping.
It's clearly something I don't know about this car that the international scene has figured out. But
We'll catch
I
up.
think they were pretty slow new.
well, yeah, I think that 4-cylinder that's in there is based off of the factory engine.
No kidding.
If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
It's a 3-liter 4-cylinder.
Yeah, this particular one's a 4-liter. But dude, a 3-liter 4-cylinder is freaking massive.
That's a big.
I think that's 5.9 seconds 0 to 60. That's not slow.
From the
I guess
factory. It's a giant four cylinder.
I think it was the largest displacement 4-cylinder in normal production ever up to that point.
Up to that point, I have zero problem believing that, and I'm sure that there's some obscure thing that I can't think of. But like as far as like big time production number cars, I don't know that I can think of anything that's any bigger. There's a lot of 2.5 liters, and I've even seen like 2.7s and stuff like that. But 3 liters is pretty unheard of.
Yeah, it's more of a 6-cylinder size.
So yeah, I'm sure there's people firing up their
don't
Facebooks
worry.
and typing stuff out. But like for run of the mill cars, that's a pretty big motor. So it's pretty cool. I would also assume that it has a relatively low rev range then, and stuff like that.
Don't know without seeing it.
I'm gonna guess that
Picture
this
one.
billet one probably does like 12,000 RPM
To the moon.
or something fucking stupid. I don't know, dude. It's so crazy. I love watching in-car this thing. It's my favorite. I'll bet you I've watched that video 30 times.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
Dude,
again.
I love it so much. It's just the best.
I'm not arguing.
It's the best.
I'm right there with you.
I love it. So, what's next, Robbie?
Hold on. Catching up.
So, Robbie's favorite car on this list, I'm just going to deem it right now because I think it's the only S chassis. MCA Suspensions S13.
Attaboy.
Yeah, S13.
This
Party
is-
time.
Look at me.
Cooper hatch.
That's a coupe,
I can't even tell from the photo.
Okay.
which is why I don't like it so much.
There you go.
Dude, I know the S13 hatch. Don't you? Don't you? Because that, if I was going to own an S chassis,
It's the
it would
hatch.
be the S13 hatch for sure.
It's a good looking car.
Up and down, 15 excluded because I can't.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
And
This is America.
even if the 15 was legal here, I don't know that I'd still choose it.
I understand.
I really like the back of that car.
The S13 hatch. It's good.
Yeah, I really like the back end of that car.
I seriously never gave him a second thought until I saw Matt Heinz's shell that he was selling.
Yeah. I remember that. That was like before we knew who he was.
Almost pulled the trigger on that.
That was
one.
a really good
That
deal.
was dangerously close to
That was
pulling
a
the
cheap
trigger.
car at the time.
Still a good value if you could get it for that price.
Yeah. So this car has won in the past.
Hell yeah. It did.
This car has another billet engine in it. SR20, air quotes.
Mazworks?
I don't know if this one's Mazworks. This probably Bullet.
Oh, I suppose.
Bullet makes a lot of billet motors
In Australia.
and they're in Australia.
That makes more
And I know
sense.
that there were a ton of their engines out there. Their catchphrase, their company saying,
Yes.
"Cast ain't fast." Love it.
Fair enough. Thank you.
They're not wrong.
Thank you.
Cast ain't fast.
That's another shirt you need.
So good. This car, one of them built by Andrew Brilliant, or the aero package and stuff on it. This car, for a long time, I don't think it's true anymore, but for a long time, one of the things that they were real big on is that they still ran factory style suspension, and they were using off the shelf coilovers because they're a suspension company.
Oh, makes sense.
So, like, I don't think that's true anymore. I think front and rear is probably double wishbone now, or double A arm, whatever you want to call it, and stuff like that. And I'm sure that it probably has a third shock to handle aero loads because that's a thing these days. But you got to do what you got to do to stay at the pointy end of the stick, and they are out for blood every year. So
Yeah.
I don't really know much to say about this car other than it is pretty cool.
It looks cool.
It looks great.
So they did all right this year. I don't even remember where they came in. I think they were second.
Well, they're second on the list, so we'll go with that.
So cool car. I love it
240s all the way.
nonetheless. So next up, this car crashed last year, returned this year. This car was a air quotes shell with no carbon fiber hanging off of it like 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
This is the Tilton Interiors Evo, another car who has won in the past.
That is the widest side
Evo of all time?
Not side
wild.
skirt. What's the word I'm looking for?
Fender?
No, it's
Side.
well, yes. I mean, it's a side skirt, but it's
Barge.
It's a wing.
The barge boards.
Yeah, sure. We'll
On
go
the
with that.
bottom there?
Yeah. God
Along
dang,
the
those
bottom?
are wide.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild car. this car, you kind of, at first when you look at it, the aero doesn't quite seem as ridiculous
Until
to me.
you start looking
But then
at it.
you like start looking at it, you're like, all right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's wild.
This is a pretty wild car. They had a tire delaminate this year.
Well, it looks like in the picture they're touching the ground with most of their aero.
Yeah, most of the cars are that way. They had a tire delaminate this year and blew the front, like, passenger
Wide
side
open.
of that car apart. Just exploded carbon fiber everywhere on the racetrack. Just exploded.
That would
So,
take it forever to clean up.
Yokohama.
True.
Oh, dude, and like that's a really good way to ruin $40,000 worth of aero parts.
Oh, yeah.
I bet. At least.
Absolutely.
So it's all Voltex designed and built.
Ooh.
And Voltex is kind of synonymous with cha-ching.
Uh-huh.
And I think that this is one of their development cars. Tilton, everyone knows who Tilton is. They make pedal boxes and stuff like that for race cars. They're some of the best.
Yep.
One of the things I really think is cool about this, so World Time Attack is a pro class and a pro am class. And the rules are very similar, if not exactly the same. Except pro class or pro am class is just like guys.
Yeah,
People.
not factory back
They're
guys.
humans. And pro class is like Formula One drivers or, ex Formula One drivers and current V8 supercar drivers. Dude, like the driver list of this is like the who's who of V8 supercars right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
So this year, this car was ran in both pro am and
Yep.
pro. So they had a pro driver, a V8 supercars driver in the, no, this year it's always been Garth Walden.
Okay.
But then in pro am, it was the owner of the car, which I thought was really cool.
That is awesome.
So not something you see a lot. A lot of times these cars are owned by one person and driven by another because that's just kind of where they are at in this world. So
It's crazy.
it's wild. So another billet block, another, crazy.
Carbon, everything.
Big old
Carbon,
4-cylinder.
everything. Yeah, 46.3 air quotes. I think this is also a bullet racing car. Yeah, pretty wild, pretty fast. It's amazing to me that they can go from like just a chassis, the tube frame, for lack of a better term, because that's really what it was, to like a running, driving, here we go car in like 3 weeks. So the engine package didn't change at all. It's a proven package. They were good to go. So that makes things a little easier.
That does help.
But still,
And have nothing go wrong.
like I saw pictures of this car on a hoist with no body work on it whatsoever just a few weeks ago.
Jeez.
And they went out there and did well.
That's awesome.
I think they won Pro-Am or they were very close to it. Should probably have the results of this event up. My bad.
We're here to talk about cars, not necessarily.
How they do.
In Time Attack, we're all winners.
I like it, Rabbit. No. I'm not okay with that, actually. No, I'm not okay with that because it's not.
It's Ricky Bobby. If you're first, you're last.
Yeah.
Why'd you even show up?
Yep, that's true.
Dude, they were talking on the radio, some Pee-wee.
No participation ribbons here.
There's some like little kid football team league. And if you beat the other team by X margin, the coach gets fined $500.
That it would be my goal to see how much money I could cost the school.
So,
Wait, which coach?
coach of the tean
That won.
the one.
It's a
That's
sportsman.
not how the world's supposed
It's
to
a
work.
sportsmanship thing. So if you 50
No.
point a team,
Because they were talking about because the guy's like, I don't want to encourage these 7 and 8 year old kids to not play as hard as they are.
Yep.
So he tried to talk the refs into just throwing flags on every play and pushing them back yards every time.
oh,
And they wouldn't do it. They refused to do it. And so, and he was like, well, I'm not telling them not to.
no, they're gonna keep playing well.
I'm not gonna tell these kids to turn it down a notch. So I guess I owe them $500.
We can crowd
If you were
that one as a
principal of a school, wouldn't you be like,
I don't think this was a school even. I think this
Oh.
was like a
AAU.
Pee-wee league.
oh,
like
that's
a, like
super
a city
lame, man.
league.
That's lame. That's lame.
I've heard of the mercy rule, but I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, in the game, man. Let's pack it up.
If you 50 point them by halftime,
Let's just end this game.
you're clearly won.
Yeah. Stupid.
We don't need to put bubble wrap on everything.
Back in my day, they didn't do that in my basketball tournaments. We got our
No.
asses kicked.
You got 50 pointed. You got 50 pointed.
We did. By the Supersonics. They were fucking good.
My freshman year in high school, our football team lost every single game.
That's right.
So
You learned something, right?
they had a perfect record.
It builds character.
Hey, my senior year, the only game they lost was the state championship. So
Ouch.
they turned that around.
That's good.
So you can right the ship. Next
You
race
can.
car. Let's get back to race cars and not football.
No, we can talk about football.
We don't need to
Nah,
talk
we're
about
good on football, I think.
So the next one up, Scorch Racing under Suzuki. This guy, it's an S15, if you can't tell.
I
No,
couldn't
you
tell,
can't tell.
at all. It looks like
To
the
be honest with you,
Batmobile.
to be honest with you, of all the cars on this list, I think this is the one that's gotten farthest away from its silhouette.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Like I realize these are silhouette cars. Fine, whatever.
It's like-
but like even the 968 is pretty hard to see. This looks like some sort of just like
doesn't-
prototype race car.
and it doesn't help that it's black, so it kind of hides anything
because
that's
it's all carbon fiber.
right. But there's like no livery in this picture, so that doesn't help.
Right. So-
Also, it's at least a foot wider on each side, so that doesn't help either.
So this guy, he's a Japanese guy. He is like the hero or he's the people's champion,
Okay, like of Japan or the world.
the world.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah, he's the people's champion.
It's on the top.
He's never I shouldn't say never. I don't think he's ever won. I know he's been on the podium. I don't know that he's ever won overall. That has been his goal. He is the current lap record holder at Tsukuba.
Okay.
This is the new generation of car. This is not the same chassis. This is the first outing for this one.
Okay.
To show you how people's champion he is, a former, I think, Audi DTM engineer decided he likes under Suzuki's attitude and like steadfastness to the race and all that stuff so much that he basically designed this car for him
That's awesome.
with the help of Andrew Brilliant. So like the
Extra
suspension package and all that stuff is like 100% custom built and is essentially a DTM car.
So good.
So this guy is a privateer. He literally builds this car in his like tiny little garage.
I can relate.
So that's kind of why he's the people's champion, because he's out there battling with $4 million Porsches built by professional race teams, and he's
changing things on jack stands.
he's just a guy in the garage. Like you can see nearly all of his garage in that picture, and he like I've read a bunch of different articles and stories about this guy, and like as his car was developing, it was time to start moving towards building the car or building parts of the car out of carbon fiber, because building them out of Alumilite or plywood or whatever wasn't working, years ago.
Yep.
So he learned how to build carbon fiber things because he couldn't afford to pay somebody.
No.
So he did it himself. And like,
I get that.
it's so cool to me. This guy, I mean, he started with a street car,
Yep.
and he's turned this into this monster.
I love it. He's my
So
favorite.
again, SR20. It's
Yeah.
a real bum deal. He runs nitrous in this car, so it's very
Well, that's
fast and
fun.
furious. I like it. I approve of the nitrous. First year for this car, I think a tire delaminated in this car as well. Blew the back of the car off,
Aw.
spun it into a wall. He ended up in the hospital.
Damn it.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, on the front straightaway. The tire blew.
That's
I think a tire blew. Depending on who you talk to and where you go and who you listen to, some people think that the aero fell apart. Some people think that there was a suspension failure. Some people say there was a tire delamination. He did post pictures of somebody posted pictures of a broken suspension rod.
It's hard to say when that happened, though.
So, yeah. I mean, he hit a wall. So,
Lots of things are broken.
yeah. And so it's hard to say. And apparently there was a load sensor. So the rod, so it was two pieces that was threaded in the middle, and there's a load sensor in the center of that
Okay.
to kind of monitor aero load and stuff like that on that suspension arm. And it broke at that sensor. And so he, like, on the fly, because he had every intention of taking this car back out on the track.
Oh, jeez.
Like, the doctor told him you can't get in a car for 24 hours. But, like, 24 hours and 3 minutes, he planned on being back on the track. People's champion.
Apparently. Yeah, I see that now.
So
He's earned that title.
he's in it
and
to
gonna
win
keep-
it.
he's
so
gonna
I
keep
read.
it.
So I read that they built just new suspension arms. I mean, it's literally just a straight piece of rod. It was
Right.
it's not like they're
Custom fab in these.
I mean, it was
3D
custom
printed.
fab, but it's not like it was milled out of billet on a lathe. I
Right.
mean, it's still just threaded rod. But they built new ones without the load sensor in the center, so that because that one broke, and I want to get back on track, so I'm going to build 2 of these and get rid of that load sensor on the other side because that's clearly my weak link, and we'll figure that out later.
It's the right attitude to have.
So, it sucks. Like, this dude built this car, hasn't even been on track with it yet, put it in a crate and sent it to Australia from Japan, and on testing day, not even during
race day.
the race day, crashed the car. So,
Man,
That's
super
disappointing.
sucks.
Yeah.
But,
Does World Time Attack do the spec tire?
yes.
Okay,
they
I couldn't remember.
They
if
run
that-
Yokohamas.
Yes. Okay. I couldn't remember if that was this series or not.
Yes, that is this sanctioning body.
Yeah. There you go. Sanctioning body is probably the right word.
It's just a race. That's what blows my mind about this. There's a lot of most of these cars. In fact, I would say this is probably the first car we've gotten to here in this list so far that sees more than this event annually.
That's insane.
So like that Porsche and the S chassis and the Evo, like all those cars, all the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars put into each and every single one of those cars so they can race one event a year and maybe do 10 or 12 laps, frankly.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I love it. Like I wish that they would take these cars to other events.
Of
and
course.
That's what Super Lap Battle is supposed to be here in the United States.
Yes.
The ultimate goal of the people who organize that, who are also the people who organize Global Time Attack, is to build an event of the World Time Attack Championship scale and see some of these international guys bring their cars here and race it on the most prestigious track that we have,
Coda.
because this used to be a Formula One course as well. I think.
Right. Yep.
Or maybe not a Formula One course, since I guess the current record is a Formula
Well, it's
Two.
at least
car.
a Formula 2.
Right. So, but it's a very prestigious track in Australia. So,
That is good.
next car, Robbie. Another Porsche.
Oh, look at that. Another 968.
These guys are from, I want to say Sweden. Pretty sure these guys are the ones
Finland.
from Finland? Okay.
I have no idea.
Scandinavia.
There's 2 cars from 2 Scandinavian teams. One of them is Finland. The other one is Swedish. I don't remember which one is which.
Couldn't tell you.
We'll get to the other one here in a little bit. This is also an A&B, an Andrew Brilliant designed car. They flat out said that their goal, this is the first time they've ever been to World Time Attack Challenge.
Okay.
They said coming into this, their goal was to meet or beat RP968's first event lap time.
Okay. That's a real. Yeah. That's a good
It's a
goal.
realistic time.
Yeah.
Sorry, most cars are in the low 20s. The record is like a 118 something.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. They second flyer of the weekend, which ended up being their fastest one because they cracked the block on the next one.
Oh shit.
With their previously Formula One test driving pro driver, 125.6, I want to say,
Okay.
and they were fucking pumped,
Heck yeah.
which they should be. It's flying fast. So it's cool to see these international teams show up, have never been there, and just fucking do well.
Yeah. That's great.
That's great because, so far up to this point, all the rest of these cars have been Australian.
Ah. So they don't exist.
Well, there's that too. But
Conspiracy.
So their home track is Sydney Motorsports Park, and in all reality, they can test there as much as they want. Well, I guess under Suzuki's not Australian, but he's been there for years. Right. So they know Sydney Motorsports Park. They not only do they know what they need to do for the car setup, but they know the driving of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a big
And-
deal.
I'm sure that putting a Formula One test driver in the driver's seat of your Porsche really helps things, but nonetheless, it's admirable. So,
Absolutely.
this is a cool car. They still use the stock block.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yes.
So it's a 3-liter? Or not, maybe
Wait till
not a 3-liter.
wait till they go build it. Then they'll be
I
fast.
think that this is not a stock displacement.
Fair enough.
This is a board and stroked engine. But turns out they found the limitation of the stock block this year because they cracked it. Because they went out there and set their minute 25, and they're like, all right, let's crank that boost up all the way, and they found the limitation of that engine. So
that's what they're here to do.
Yeah, it's time for a billet one.
Yeah, I think it's so cool that people are like, all right, we went out there, we set a pretty fast lap. Like, not going to sit back on my haunches and just let this happen, though. Let's crank this car up to 12, because I've never cranked it up past 8, but fuck it. Because I'm in Australia, and this shit's going down.
We're only here once a year. Let's go.
We've never been here before. Let's do this.
It's the right attitude to have.
I love it. I love it so much.
Plus, they weren't first, so they were technically last.
Right, exactly.
Gotta get to first.
I just love that about Time Attack, I just love that.
What did we do
about
before
Time
Ricky
Attack.
Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last?
We were sad. It was a sad existence.
Yeah.
It's still kind of a sad existence,
Yeah,
but
it's
that's
true.
different.
We at least have good quotes.
The world ended in 2012.
This is all simulation.
This is a simulation. That's why it sucks so bad. The Mayans were right.
What's the next race car, Robbie? I think you scrolled past it.
Oh, I didn't. That was it.
No, that's it. This must just be the Pro. I thought this was Pro and Pro-Am. Oh, well.
It says Pro and Pro-Am. That's it. That was just the guide. That's all there was.
Who was that from? Give them credit again. That was
InsideTimeAttack.com.
It's a nice work there.
.com.au. So it's in the dark web that doesn't exist.
How'd you get there?
Life Motorsports GTR should have been on that list.
Is this it right here?
I can't see anything, Robbie.
Just kidding. There.
That's, yes, in the front. That is the Life Motorsports GTR.
Okay.
This year's Seoul USA
Entry.
Seoul North American entry, since Will did not make it back there this year.
That's right.
Currently, Will holds the fastest North American lap, so that was one of their goals, was to bring that back to America. I don't think they quite did it.
That's right.
And the other goal, I think, was to set their R35 record, which I think they hold.
I can see that.
One of the cool things about this, so in Pro, it was ran by Cole Powelson, who is the guy that runs Life Motorsports. He's the one that who usually always drives this car. But then in Pro-Am, they put Rob Parsons in it,
Okay.
that are known as Chair Slayer.
Yes.
And
I
they
did see that.
put hand controls in this.
I did not realize that's what that was. I did see some clips from that.
Yeah. So they put hand controls in this because he is paraplegic. He broke his back in a motocross accident, I think it was.
Bikes are scary.
So, so he was the first person to ever compete in World Time Attack with hand controls.
So he has the hand control record.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to be that guy.
If you want to be like ESPN and
Yeah, he's got the
Keep
record.
stupid
Or drag
records.
racing.
Yeah, he's got the fastest hand
This
control.
is the world's fastest T56 LT1 car.
Okay, thanks.
That's the thing I saw today.
Really?
Yes, there was a 1320 posted this thing about this Camaro. They broke 3 world records in one weekend. They broke the U.S. records. It's the fastest manually shifted car. The
I'll
fastest.
give them that one. That's a pretty.
Yeah,
that's
That's a
legit.
big one.
That
That's
one
a
I'll
big
give
one.
you.
Yeah.
Fastest T56.
Nah,
Fastest LT.
nah.
Old LT.
Like my LT style?
Yes.
How fast was it?
7s.
That's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast. Don't get me wrong.
It's pretty damn fast.
It's very damn fast, but it's like, okay, come on.
It's like,
I'll give
it's
you
like the Guinness World Records where you have really
Yeah,
weird
right.
stuff.
I bet it doesn't even use the OptiSpark, so at that point it's basically just a small block
Yeah. It's with
better cooling.
with like a giant pair of turb skis hanging off of it.
Yeah, I think that's cheating, but whatever, that's fine.
So,
Fastest manually shifted car, they can have that one.
yeah, I agree with that. I'll give you that one. That's worth noting.
Yes.
But that's kind of the way drag racing is. And Time Attack hasn't really been that way,
No, not really.
but it could really quickly become that way. Because, like, I did see something today. Somebody was talking about there's a BRZ FRS, whatever, a Toyobaru. It's got some wild, crazy V8 out of something. I don't know what. It's got like ITBs on it, and apparently it makes almost 4-digit horsepower numbers. But it was the fastest naturally aspirated car at World Time Attack. And, like, that's kind of interesting. I'll give you that. But, like, you know, and I do kind of like talking about fastest front wheel drive, all wheel drive, rear wheel drive, just because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Most of the cars on this list are rear wheel drive.
Right.
You know, there was the Evo and the R35, but everything else on that list is rear wheel drive,
Yes.
which is kind of interesting. Because, you know, for a long time, everyone just kind of assumed like, oh, it's all-wheel drive, it's faster, right? It's got more grip,
Yep.
it's faster. But that's not necessarily true.
No, not if you set it up correctly.
Fastest, a lot of the overall records here in the North America are held by Hondas, front-wheel drive cars, and so I think at this level of prep, that stuff becomes less and less and less important, and at some point, it just becomes extra weight.
Yeah.
So, and it's more stuff to get in the way of your aero package.
Very true.
Because that's the world we live in. So, I do think it's cool that they gave Rob the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because it is a big deal. I realize that it's a publicity stunt.
It's not a bad one, though.
But, no, I think that there's definitely worse publicity stunts they could have gone after.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that he got the opportunity to go out there and race, and he did pretty well. He wasn't slow.
That's good.
He didn't make a laughing stock of himself. So,
glad to hear that.
I don't know how hard it is to adjust from, because he's
a drifter.
known as a drifter. And I don't know if that's real hard to adjust from that. And frankly, I would think that grip racing would be easier with hand controls.
I don't know. It's a good question.
You wouldn't have to spin the wheel near as far.
Well, it would be hard to. There are times. So he has one control. Mm-hmm. You pull towards yourself for brake, and you lift up for throttle. But you can't. He can't really do both simultaneously.
Okay.
So he's either on the gas or on the brake.
Okay.
Or neutral.
Yep.
Right. At least that's what it looks like for watching videos of him, not only in his drift car but also in the R35.
Okay.
So I'm not 100% sure that that's true, but it looks to me like he can only be on one or the other at any given point in time. And I know that like left foot braking and just putting your foot to the floor on the gas pedal is a pretty important thing that a lot of drifters use.
Yeah.
So that would be hard to do. Impossible to do. The other thing is that if he's got one hand on the gas/brake thing that he's using, his hand controls, it'd be a little harder to rip the e-brake with the other hand, because then he has to let go of the steering wheel entirely.
There is a YouTube video where he kind of walks through it. So if you are very curious, just search Chair Slayer controls.
There you go.
And pull it up. Here's a picture of him from the in-car.
That's his drift car.
This is drift car, but I don't have a video of him in
that's fine.
Or a picture of him in the
There are
R35.
If you go to World Time Attack's Facebook page, they did post in-car video of him racing the R35 too. So
perfect.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I love these cars. A couple of the cars that apparently weren't on this list that I thought were, that I kind of wanted to talk about. So I'll real quick talk about them without any reference. Fine. Fuck it. There's an R8.
Nice.
That they call the R8 1-to-1, which I think is actually not true anymore, because I think it makes more power than it needs to be 1-to-1 ratioed now. But it has an aero package that was designed by the same guy that designed RP968s. And say that car is ridiculous is a massive understatement.
It's an Audi, so it's fine. It's fine.
So I think that this is rear-wheel drive. I don't think... Yeah, there you go. Robbie found a picture of it.
It is two wings with a car in the middle.
Small car in the middle. R8s are not small cars.
All made out of carbon.
And the wings on this thing make it look small. I think that it's only rear-wheel drive. I don't think that they still have... Because I've seen a picture of the front clamshell lifted up, and it doesn't look to me like there's enough stuff going on up there to have drive shafts to the front, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's twin-turbo. It's got the V10 in it. It's glorious. I love everything about it.
Scream.
Pretty sure that is from Finland. I'm 90% sure that that's the Finland team.
That country sounds awesome. We should go.
So, this was also a fairly new build. They crashed this car. And this is its they crashed it a year ago.
Yeah.
They lost brakes at 12,000 miles an hour and went over an embankment and into a forest. And I've seen the in-car, and it's fucking terrifying. And how that guy survived is beyond me. Safety is important, people.
Extremely important.
But this is their rebuild.
How long is the end plate for that?
Yes.
It's got to be like
5 feet.
It's damn near 3 feet long, and that's the front wing.
This is another front wing car, not a splitter car. So, I remember reading an interview he did with somebody, I don't remember who now, and they were asking him about the aero package, and he said, "Well, I chose the company's called Dynamic Aero Solutions, so DAS.
Yep.
I chose DAS because the RP968 is currently the fastest car, and he designed the aero package, so he must know what he's doing."
Yeah,
And that seems
Fair enough.
That
That's
seems
solid.
like-
Good reasoning.
solid logic.
Yeah, it's hard to fault him on that one.
Yep.
So, again, it's all carbon fiber, like every last
Every little
square
bit
inch.
of it.
So
it's good.
yeah. So they do drifting there too. They have a drifting cup, and I didn't watch it too closely, but they somehow like to draw their or to pick their matchings. They like draw names out of a hat or something like that. Instead of like doing
To no qualifying,
runs
yeah.
and stuff, they're just like, all right, you, and here we go, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, fair enough.
They do a flying 500 on the front straightaway where they have basically drag cars come in and see who can accelerate to the highest mile per hour in 500 meters on the front straightaway, which is kind of cool. In years past, they've had what's that Mazda 4-rotor race car? Jesus Christ, 787.
Oh yeah.
They've had a 787 there in the past, do demo laps. They had Robbie's favorite car, the Brabham BT62.
Yeah, I've kind of been following that really closely.
Yeah, they had it come out and do a couple of demo laps.
God, the car's good.
Dude, it's so wild. That car sounds insane.
If we ever did a recreation of our dream car
We
garages,
should probably do that again.
that's the one. That is the one.
That'll be
That's the-
Robbie's for all of them.
That's the answer for basically all of them
Everything.
now. It's a Brabham BT62.
For an extra couple $100,000, they'll make it street legal.
Do it,
All right, so
Robbie.
it's on at
Do
least-
it.
Yeah, only 1.5 million, and they're only making like 50 of them.
Yeah.
You got some stuff to sell, right?
Yeah, I just offered up my toenail clippings if anyone wants those. So
That's a good point. I don't know if you can grow
do-
enough toenails, to be honest.
I'll do anything for a Brabham BT62. So just putting that out there.
They hold some sort of lap record at Bathurst with that thing. And one of their goals with that was to take it to all these different tracks. Basically, any track they take it to, they want to take the lap record of some level.
Good.
I don't know what variation of lap record they're chasing after, because that's kind of like drag racing too.
Yeah.
I'm the fastest car on street tires. I don't know what they're chasing after, but it's fast, it's ridiculous, and I love it.
It's beautiful.
So, World Time Attack is 150% on my bucket list. I will go at some point in my life.
Hell yeah.
I will be a hermit and stay home an entire year if that's what it takes to afford it. At some point, I will go. I have tried to casually pass that off as an opportunity for a honeymoon. So far, she's seen through my
Damn.
It's not that. That's
my plans.
Getting shot
Australia's
down.
perfect. Why would you not want
It's
to go?
only a 2-day event.
Yeah.
Takes
know?
2 days to get there and 2 days to get back, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but like if we
You'd
go
be there
to
a week.
yeah, if you go to Australia and we're there for 4 days, it seems not that unrealistic to ask for 2 of those days to be at a racetrack.
That's what I did with selling Jess on
It's equal.
France.
50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know? She gets her 2 days, you get your 2 days.
yeah, I'll do whatever she wants as long as it doesn't suck.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Makes perfect sense to me.
So I really want to go. I want to go so bad.
I get it.
It looks so cool. To see the cars that are there in real life would just be the best.
Take Booney with you.
Yeah, he'd go.
Yeah, probably. I don't want to take Mooney with me.
Not on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
I will.
Go on
That's
his
what
honeymoon.
Robbie's
Oh.
going. Robbie's
say.
taking Booney with him
On his honeymoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if everything works out, I'm going on my honeymoon with Booney. That's the plan.
Is Australian like known for cuisine?
No.
No, it's no for spiders.
Yep. and kangaroos.
All right, maybe I could go with Booney then.
He'll still find the good food though.
I'm sure there's tons of good food. There's like a few million people that live there. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It's in Sydney. It's a pretty civilized place.
Absolutely.
It
You don't know.
seems.
You can't prove that.
It seems.
You can't prove that.
You say that until there's like a 5-foot spider on your face. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds
Being eaten by a 30-foot snake.
That's great. You can come and eat the stupid mouse that keeps making his way into my house.
Poison him.
I have small children and pets.
No, they got the little box thing.
The ones that they
pets
go
can't
into.
get into.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't trust it.
That's
It's
what I
worked
have.
really well at my house.
I had
I've
one, too.
eradicated all of the snakes. Not snakes, mice.
I think I know where he's getting in, so
That
I'm gonna
helps.
take care
That
of
will
it.
help a lot.
If I ever get to go home at some point
Or
in
be
my
home
life,
more than 4 hours.
Yeah. Be home at any point in time that's not sleeping.
Daylight time.
Doesn't even need to be daylight. Because
You'll work around it.
Yeah, it's fine. I just need to be home when I'm not asleep. So,
Factorfabrication.com.
yeah. Speaking of Booney. and
Speaking
not
of Booney,
taking it with me.
That was my segue.
Yep, I appreciate that. He makes rails, custom furniture, and environments.
Environments.
That's what it says.
Oh,
here.
like ambiance. Yeah, ambiance. Took me a second, but I knew exactly what you were talking about. Environments. He makes environments.
That's what it says on his website.
I get it. I see what he's saying.
Factorfabrication.com.
I turned in my time off to go to Coda with him.
Oh, cool.
With them.
What's the date on that again?
Those
I gotta hear.
guys.
Those people. That should be
November.
mid-November.
Yeah, the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Still looking. November 22nd.
There you go.
Got a month.
There you go.
It sounds like their race at Hallett went well. No major issues, so
It's great.
Yeah. They needed one.
they did need one.
Yeah, they
Dear
needed a
God.
good race.
But of course it would happen at Hallett, which is a great racetrack.
Oh, God. Here we go.
If you're going to have a good race, it's going to be
Here
at
I'm going to have to
Hallett.
go to Hallett next year, so I don't have to listen to this anymore.
No, because then I'll have to listen to it from both of you.
True.
I want to come back and say, yeah, it's great, but I'm not going to freak out about it like Robbie does.
You will.
That's what I'm anticipating.
I said the same thing about
Maybe I'm
Booney.
wrong.
It's good.
Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
It's just a magical place with good feelings and good vibes for everybody.
That's a kind of racetracks in general, isn't it?
But this one's special.
I mean, have you?
This one's
you ever
special
had
to him.
You ever had a
It's-
bad time at a racetrack, Robbie?
Yes.
Even outside of the crashing, like it was still.
Yes.
It was still a pretty good time.
I've had some bad times racing.
Yeah. It's not always
People's egos, usually.
That was
That's true.
autocrossing.
No, it happens on.
I
not
just
a-
called it racing. I
that's
didn't
not
say
a
it
race-
was. I
No,
didn't say
I
it was
said-
at a racetrack. I said what I said. I know what I said.
That's awesome.
Michael,
Hallett is so good. It's
Yeah.
worth driving through Oklahoma for.
it's tough.
That's saying a lot.
And
I have to drive through Oklahoma to go to Coda.
and worth driving through Kansas.
Oh, now you're really saying something.
Hey, whoa! This is a long.
I spent like no time at all in Kansas.
This is a
Zero.
long-standing feud between me and Daniel and Austin.
I know. I'm poking.
It happens all the time. It's fine.
Fair enough.
To be fair about the argument, I think that the part of Oklahoma that I experienced is definitely not the part of Oklahoma that should be experienced.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And I think like Eastern Oklahoma, like anything east of 35, I don't think that's
It's better.
It's way better. But like the Panhandle is a terrible place to be. And
Aren't there jokes about the Panhandle?
even Oklahoma
or is
doesn't
that
disagree
Florida?
with
That might
it.
be Florida.
Florida makes sure. Yeah, because Florida, the further north you get, the more south you get.
Yeah, right.
But
Yep.
I think
yep.
I think I
It's
want
backwards.
to be more north in Florida.
You do not.
I don't think so.
Because you're closer to the south.
Yeah, but is it? But like, does Florida? I would think that Florida man is farther south in Florida.
No.
No,
Where would you rather be?
aren't the Gators in the south?
Where would you rather be? South Beach, Miami, or Jacksonville?
I think I, quite frankly, if honestly, probably Jackson.
You're wrong.
Adam might be right. I don't know. The
I don't
people
know
in
that
South Beach
Miami.
probably suck.
Yeah, I don't know that Miami's my place.
Miami's the best.
I think it's
I don't
nice to
think
visit.
Miami
but
is the
I don't
best.
think you want to hang out there.
It's good. Miami's the best.
I don't know that I want to be in either of those places.
Florida is the best.
There sounds like a lot of people in both of those places.
Yes, but you can get away from the people.
How?
Go closer to the. Just go to the water.
Yeah, that's where all the people are, Robbie.
Just don't go to the public beaches.
I can't afford to not be on a public beach.
They don't charge you to go to the beach.
Well, then that would not be a pub. Those are public ones, Robbie.
Then go to the ones where all the people aren't. There's so much beach. It's everywhere.
I think there's a lot of people.
They just keep driving because then you can drive to Highway 1 where there's just ocean. And it's beautiful. It's so good.
It's not a beach.
There are beaches there.
I don't really like the water anyway. That's where the sharks are.
People don't just get bit by sharks, Adam.
You're not wrong, but I don't like.
Statistically speaking, I'm gonna die by a cow faster than I'll die by a
Well,
shark.
yeah, you live in Iowa.
What'd you do to the cow?
They're very large. And they can fall.
Well, yeah,
on you.
don't like poke them.
Sometimes you have to. You have to move them.
Her? What'd she do
Her.
to you?
You have to. Well, yeah. Don't go near the hims. They will kill you.
Oh, for sure.
They're much more dangerous than any shark. A bull will straight up kill you.
PSA.
Says the guy who wants to go bull riding.
Yeah.
I think he wants to watch bull
You have
riding.
to. You have
No,
to.
he wants to
You wanna
try
go bull
riding on
You
a
have.
bull.
Yeah, it's on the bucket list, man.
No way, dude.
It's on the bucket list.
That's fine. It's on your bucket list, not
Yeah.
on my bucket list. Fuck that.
We got to do it.
There's no weed.
I'm not even
in
gonna.
there.
I'm not even gonna go watch.
Yeah,
it.
on the
If you get
off chance
stabbed
that
in the
you got
face,
hurt, I wouldn't
yeah.
even want to go and watch it, Robbie.
Nah, you got to try it.
No, you don't.
I gotta.
You're getting
You gotta-
old, man.
You got to experience
That's
the world.
the truth right
That
there.
is true.
You're not like
it will
you're
hurt.
20,
It'll
not made out
hurt
of
more
rubber.
now than it would if I would have
10
done it
years
5
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Where were we? What are we doing?
I think we're doing my topic now.
Yeah.
So Robbie,
Michael wants to talk about watches.
Robbie
Well,
asked-
actually, Robbie wants Michael to talk.
Robbie
about
asked that I
That's
talk
true.
about a
I
trip
did
I
that.
took last weekend, which was to Chicago and a place called it's called LA Microlux on Instagram, but it's Microlux, which is basically a small brand watch fair, which I don't think is particularly interesting as a topic. So
Oh, I thought it sounded interesting, so that's why.
yeah, and that's fair. That's fine. It was interesting to me, but probably not interesting to anybody else who listens. But that
Too
brought
bad.
up another thought of mine, which is I could explain why I'm interested in watches and how it
No.
relates to cars. And I don't think people understand.
I think we've briefly touched about it, but I don't know that we've ever talked about it on the podcast
Yeah.
itself.
And
I totally get why you love watches.
Yeah. But I think
Totally
there's a
get
lot
it.
of people that don't. Like sometimes you explain it to people and they go, "Oh, I didn't even know that." And that's just a matter of the fact that we live in a time where everything's powered by a battery and we've got Apple Watches and et cetera, et cetera. But yours is powered by a battery.
It is powered by a battery. This one
Your
is.
Momo is.
My Momo is.
Um,
But
Is
it
there
was,
carbon fiber on that Momo?
no, this is one of the few that don't have carbon fiber.
That's
on
the
it.
one that he said he lost it. He was
I
all
did.
pissed.
I spent like a half hour the other night looking for this one until I found it.
So I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that there are different types of watches that are powered differently. There's mechanical watches, and a subgenre of that is automatic. And then there's quartz watches, and then obviously there's smart watches. And the watches that I'm interested in and most enthusiasts are interested in are mechanical or automatic watches. And Robbie's got a picture of a movement pulled up here. And the movement is the thing, and that's what you're referencing when you talk about mechanical or automatic. And that's essentially driving the hands or driving any other functions of the watch. And what it does is it stores energy from either winding the stem or the crown or from a rotor on the bottom that spins when you move your wrist. Basically, it spins around freely.
I've known that there was winding watches and
Yep.
then there's battery powered movements.
Yep.
I knew that those existed, but when you told me that there are watches that get their energy from just being worn
Yep.
and being moved about throughout the day, blew my fucking mind.
Yep.
Everybody at my wedding party got one.
Oh, really? What'd you get him?
I don't know what brand it was.
God damn it, Robbie.
It wasn't anything.
way to participate
It
in the
honestly
topic.
wasn't anything too crazy
But
because
that's
I had
cool,
to buy
though.
6 of them.
Yeah,
but
that's still cool.
yeah, they're nice.
So yeah, I mean, this used to be a technology that everybody relied on before we had smartphones and we had Apple Watches and we had even quartz watches. And quartz watches run off of a battery, and quartz watches are extremely cheap in comparison, and are easier to make, easier to produce, are more accurate actually than mechanical watches because they use a quartz regulator versus a mechanical regulator in the mechanical watches, and basically all that does is regulate the timekeeping. And in a mechanical watch, I mean, you could spend $8,000 on, pick a watch, and chances are you could probably go to Target and buy a G-Shock that's more accurate than that for $50 to $70.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of the way a lot of things are nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
To take it back to cars, like, yeah, I can buy a $15,000 or $20,000 Toyota
Yep.
or a Morgan,
Yep.
because I think a Morgan in the car world is very similar to these high-end watches.
Yep.
In the way that they're not just built on an assembly line, and they're not perfect.
Yep.
On purpose almost.
Right. Yep.
And
Or even like a Tesla versus, GT3. I mean, theoretically, and you could probably prove it, the Tesla is faster. 0 to 60 times faster.
Right. On paper, everything
you
about
can use it more of the
better.
time. It's definitely more user friendly. It's bigger, et cetera, et cetera. But enthusiasts buy the Porsche. They don't buy the Tesla, and the Porsche's basically warmed over 120-year-old technology.
I bet that the pie or the Venn diagram of Tesla GT3 owners
Pretty close.
surprisingly large number in the middle.
Well, we know Joe Rogan has both, or has had both at least.
Just
I'm sure he has. I'm sure he still does have both.
Just because that's the way the world is. But
yeah, and that's the thing too. If you're into watches, you have automatic pieces and you have quartz pieces, and if you're
you're not.
Yeah,
You gotta have one of everyone.
There are times when you just want a watch.
that's right. That's correct, and you don't worry about it. It doesn't cost you anything. If you lost it, you can replace it.
$12 at Target.
Right.
It was a used $10 fossil.
Used $10 fossil.
You don't care if it gets scratched at work or whatever.
So that's one of the analogies. The other analogy is that you have basically a small engine that's on your wrist that it consists of gears and springs, lever arms and things like that. There are watches that get more and more complicated, such as racing chronographs, which again has a direct tie-in with racing because at some point we didn't have electronic timekeeping. We had mechanical timekeeping, and people would wear and use racing chronographs to time lap times. There's a lot of different types of those. We don't need to get into that, but the Omega Speedmaster is one. The Rolex Daytona is probably the biggest one because that's named after
the
24 Hours of Daytona, and that's why they're a sponsor now.
Got this Momo.
There's that Momo. That's a racing chronograph as well. Isn't the other one a chronograph?
Yeah,
They're both
almost
chronographs?
all mine are chronographs.
So basically, the chronograph is a split-second timekeeping device in a watch, and they can be mechanical or they can be quartz. And there's your Rolex Daytona there. So that's where that name was derived from. Obviously, as we got into the 70s, the quartz was invented, and to have a stopwatch timer is way more accurate, easy to deal with, more easily replaceable than something like this, which may have 300 parts on the inside of it, and they're microscopic.
Crazy to me.
So, and there's another analogy too, is that before we had quartz and battery powered and cheap watches, you had to take your watch to basically a mechanic. You had to take your watch to a watchmaker, and they would have to service it every 2 to 5 years, depending on a lot of different factors, use and who made it, and et cetera, et cetera. But that was a part of your life, just like when you used to take your shoes in and have them resoled, because shoes used to be made to be resoled, and you took your clothing in and had it altered because you weren't, clothing was more expensive and not as easily available as it is now. So that was a part of your life, to take your watch essentially to your watch mechanic, have him disassemble it, clean it, re-lubricate it. He uses oil. There's oil on the inside of it.
So weird.
Yeah. And it's all done with, a loop, basically a little eye magnifier or some, magnifying glasses. And they disassemble and reassemble them and clean them and replace parts and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the connection there. And that's why I think I really enjoy watches, because it's something I can do in the off season. And sometimes it's something that when cars get really frustrating, which they do, and I don't know how people have cars as a singular hobby because they will drive you mad.
Yeah.
I really think that it does. It's good for me to step away from it for a moment, do the watch thing. It's very similar, but it's on a different scale. And the thing, too, that's cool about watches, I have a lot of money invested in this. I wouldn't tell people to do that. I would tell people to ask questions, buy what you like. Doesn't matter if it's cheap or other people don't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
If you like it, that's cool. Be about the hobby, explore it. You can buy and sell. eBay's a great source for getting rid of stuff if you decide you don't like it. There's forums, there's Facebook pages, there's all kinds of stuff. So don't be afraid to check something out if you think it's cool and then sell it. I guess it's analogous to cars again, but there's a lot of watch snobs out there. So like if you go and buy a brand like Invicta or something like that, people that wear like double-breasted suits and stuff like that will call you a commoner and a loser. which is an unfortunate part of the hobby, which sometimes I have to get away from. Which is kind of funny
because Invicta they're pretty nice watches for for the price.
For the price, you get quite a bit of watch, and there is a lot of people out there that really despise and talk a lot of shit about that brand, and that's not exclusive to just Invicta. There's tons of brands out there that people talk shit about.
It's the way it is with cars too, though.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
People guy's going to get in his fancy sports car and talk shit about my 84 Dodge Omni.
He's going to get in his GT3 RS with this Rolex Daytona, and he's going to peace out.
Right. Well, that's fine.
Yep.
I had an Invicta in college. My only complaint about it was that it was too big. Like it was
a lot of them are
huge face.
A lot of them are too big. That
seems so obnoxious.
Remember that green one I had?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was way too big.
So obnoxious.
Yep. And you can get now I think there's a lot more smaller options which are nice, and they run on Seiko movements, so lots of parts available, reliable. I mean,
I never had an issue.
That's what
with
I think.
I turned around and sold it for what I bought it for.
A lot of these watches out there, kind of like engines, that they all have the same thing inside them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what's on the outside that you see that's different from one to the next.
Yeah, so there's only so many movement manufacturers because they are extremely complicated. Yeah. And I think I read at one point the equipment to make a movement is about $10 million or Swiss francs or whatever it was, and then the R&D to design your own movement was another $7 million. So there's not a lot of people out there that are going to spend $20 million essentially, let's say, to just design the thing that drives the hands when I can go to an established manufacturer and just buy it. People are not going to do that.
Right.
So a lot of people use Seiko movements. A lot of people use a company called ETA, which is highly respected. There's another company out there that's called Solita. They make a lot of movements. Miyota is a Japanese company that makes movements. I think Miyota is owned by Citizen. And those are mainly your players. I mean, you get they make a lot of different things, but basically you've got 4 options for manufacturers. There's others, but those are the big ones. And again, analogous to LS swaps or, whatever it is, you can also change movements around in watches. A lot of Seikos are built in such a way that you can switch movements, you can switch hands, you can switch faces, they're modular, and a lot of companies have come out and made replacement dials and replacement hands or replacement bezels or whatever it is, and you can change those things and customize something. And so again,
that's cool.
It's just like cars again. You're building your own watch for you, and there's some things to be aware of if you go down that rabbit hole. I do a lot of research just because you have to take into account like making sure you get it watertight again and some other things that you don't think about. Plus everything's fucking microscopic, so
that Bulova,
it's hard to keep track of.
That carbon fiber Bulova I have clearly has been completely taken apart and put back together.
Has it?
And then not been sealed properly, so there's been moisture in there.
Yep.
And I think it froze, so you can see where like the crystals went up around the bezel or around the face.
Yep.
And then there's like
came back.
And there's like I don't know if it was just like from the moisture or like the dust or whatever, but you can still see it now. All the outlines of where the crystals were.
Huh.
So like if you look at it in just the right light, it's just
you'll see it.
You'll see it. I haven't taken it apart and cleaned it yet, but
probably separated like the top layer or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is on the inside. It's just like it's on the face of the of the glass or the quartz on the inside, but
yep. So
I think if I was going to do this, because I like the idea of watches, I don't like stuff on my wrist.
It is. I can understand that people don't like that side of it.
And the other thing one of the things I think is so cool about it is the movements and being able to see it and stuff like that, but it's so tiny that you can't really.
Right.
I think if I was going to jump down this rabbit hole, because I love jumping down rabbit holes. It's one of my favorite things.
And never coming back.
Right. I think I would probably do it with clocks.
And clocks is a big one.
Probably more expensive.
Can be.
Look up JLC Atmos. This is a clock that runs on atmospheric pressure only.
That's fucking
atmospheric pressure changes.
That's so cool.
Atmospheric pressure changes are what winds the spring in order to make power to power the clock.
Right.
And I don't really understand. There's some bellows and some things. I don't really understand how it works.
$10,000.
But
See, that's the problem.
That's like
but
the,
see, I found
the hydraulic
I
watch.
found
Shit
one.
can get out of control.
I found one used
fast.
for $500, and I almost bought it because I could take it
Why did you buy
to the
that?
clockmaker and have. Well, there's different levels of these. They're not all
I'm
10
sure.
grand.
Yeah.
This was definitely not a 10 grand one. Take it to the watchmaker and another $500.
Well, that used to
probably.
be like a wedding gift type of thing.
Yeah, those
like
clocks.
people would buy. When you get married, you get a clock.
But you needed a clock.
My parents have one.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different now.
And,
You
you
needed a clock.
gotta go in there and wind it up all the damn time. And it's just there and tick tock. It just drives you fucking crazy.
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah. And it's got to be serviced again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's
When it
about
breaks, you don't just
service
throw it away and
anytime.
buy another one. You just
No, gosh, no. I mean, I've given my dad a ton of shit for it, but that will be an heirloom someday.
Right.
My dad loves that silly little thing.
And that's the cool thing about watches for me is that I own a watch that was my grandfather's that I never met because he died before I was born.
Oh, okay.
And I have one from my aunt. She essentially remarried or entered into an extremely long-term relationship with another
Right.
man.
Yeah,
married.
yeah.
It's essentially married.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And I have his. So going back, my grandfather's watch was given to him by WHO when he had been there for
Oh, that's
20
cool.
years. Yeah, so it's got an engraving 1963 or
It's our
4.
local radio station.
Radio, media. I mean, radio.
Do they have a
and-
TV?
Yeah, yep, 13.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
They're a big media group around here, though.
Yep. And then my uncle, whatever we want to call him, I have his watch, which was given to him by the Des Moines Register when he retired.
Oh, jeez.
It's a little sore subject.
That's it's a
Glow-
touchy,
like,
it's a touchy
or not-
subject these
right.
days.
Right. They've changed, apparently.
Yeah, it's a little.
But then I also, somehow I ended up with his dad's watch, who I never, ever met. And it was given to him by somebody like the Des Moines Register or whatever after 20 years
Right.
when he retired. And so, and then I've got another watch from 1979 that's pretty beat up, but it's cool. Like, somebody wore this, somebody enjoyed it every day for 40 years. And then I got it. So it carries some sort of weight. I don't know how you explain that exactly.
The story means more than the watch.
Yeah,
itself.
it's the same thing as like a vintage car, a vintage race car. I mean, think about a vintage race car with all those old logs and black and white photos and stuff like that. You look at that and go, "Wow, this has seen so many things in a longer lifetime than I can even understand."
My grandparents they just recently moved. And I have no idea what happened to this thing, but up on top of a shelf in their old house, there's been my entire life there's been a Skelly clock up there, and I think that clock was given to my grandfather from Skelly Corporation because he used to own a gas station and a bulk delivery facility.
Oh,
That was Skelly, and I don't know what it means. I don't know what it is, but like my dad has kind of picked up that Skelly thing, and he's got
Skelly
11 billion different Skelly things, and that clock, like my dad, he's the type of person like he wants nothing from my grandparents when they leave, right? Mm-hmm. When they're gone, as far as he's concerned, they should have nothing that they need to distribute amongst the children. Mm-hmm. But that clock will come home with him at that point. That whatever, I don't know what it is, what's so special. I mean, I understand it's Skelly and he collects it, and I don't know exactly what the story behind how my grandpa received that clock, but like that's the only thing that my dad's ever been like, that's not going anywhere.
That's his.
That's mine. So.
Yeah, and like I said, those things carry weight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to send Robbie something here. I know our internet kind of is a little wacky sometimes. But if somebody decides to go down this path, I'm happy to talk to him about it.
So I've heard.
It seems like I've ruined a few people. I'm working on a couple other people.
Yeah.
It seems like this thing that we're going to pull up here, if Robbie ever gets it. Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. We'll
go ahead and pull it up and look at the... This was on... what was this? ABC News? What is this? ANCX. I don't even know what that is. How accurate? ABS. I don't even know what the hell that is. Anyway, it's what I was thinking of.
It's making me agree to a bunch of stuff to look at it.
What? Really?
It's fine.
Deny,
No,
Robbie.
It's fine.
They... I don't even know where they got it from. This is a famous thing. Is there?
Yeah, no. Sorry, hold on.
I think this was on a blog to watch too.
Anytime we rely
There we go.
on
There we go.
Michael's
That's what I
internet
wanted.
connection.
It goes
There
down.
we
Okay.
go.
So anyway, the phases of watch ownership. Seems like everybody goes through the same ones. You go through this phase of
This
like
could easily be altered for a lot of things. I'm
things.
Sure.
But basically, it starts out that you like Seikos and Tag Heuer and other shitty Swiss. It says. Then you go to one
I like
decent
tags.
Swiss, and then buy all the Rolex. And then you go through a vintage phase, and then being a smartass, self-proclaimed vintage expert, realizing the watch industry is full of shit, saying been there, like jaded, settling with the one, and then you die. And that's
Up the hill, down
I think
the
that's
hill,
exactly
flat
accurate.
line.
You go through a weird phase of like spending too much money and buying stuff that's popular and et cetera, and then you go through a vintage phase, and then I think you just go like, why are we doing any of this? This is all stupid. This doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
And then you find one that you like, and you kind of settle on that.
it's all fun.
Yeah.
It's all supposed to be
You gotta
fun,
have a hobby, right?
You gotta have a hobby.
You gotta have a
Or a
hobby.
collection.
Yeah,
I don't like the collection thing. I'm out on the collection. Cars, watches, I'm out. You know?
How many watches do you have?
Only like 6 or 8.
That's a collection. That's a collection.
Well, it doesn't count when
That's
I've
a
got
collection.
ones that like are heirlooms, and I've got
That's a
you know.
collection.
Ah, damn it, Robbie.
I'm right there with you. I have like 6.
that's absolutely that's
But
the
I don't-
definition.
I have
of
two.
it.
I have 2 Bolovas.
When you start
of
to
false-
include things like heirlooms, that's absolutely the definition of a collection. Nothing to be ashamed of.
collections are fine.
I think I had 20 at one point.
I love the
came way
idea
down.
of collecting. I just don't have any place, room, or money to do that sort of stuff.
Here's
if
my
I
thing.
if I had that, I totally would.
Here's my thing, and I think the same goes for cars. If you're not going to use it, don't have it.
Agreed.
There are exceptions. Again, heirlooms are an
Heirlooms.
exception.
Right.
But if you're not going to use it, sell it.
I don't disagree with that.
Marie Kondo or whatever it is. Does it bring you joy?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a Netflix series about hoarders.
Oh.
Little tiny like woman that didn't speak any English.
Oh, yeah,
it's gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
racist if I say Korean or Japanese because I don't know for sure which one.
Yeah,
she was.
yeah, I know what you're
Asian.
talking about.
But
though.
tiny, and she would come in
Yeah,
and
she's
with
like
a translator,
3'4".
and she would tell people like, "Does this thing bring you joy?" And they'd be like, "Well, not really." And like, "Okay, we're gonna throw it away." And they'd be like, "No, wait, I can't do that. Like, you haven't used it." So she'd go through this.
Yeah.
And she
No,
was super nice, and
That's the way to. That's the way to look at it.
so I think
'Cause I have at least one too many watches. So I got 2 Bolovas. I got that tungsten Geneva,
yep.
the Momo, that one I just bought for everybody for the wedding. But that's my only mechanical one, so I do like that a lot actually. And it's my only brown watch. I have to have this Momo with the leather,
Yep,
with the leather
with the black
strap.
leather. I know that
Yep.
takes you down a rabbit hole
Yep,
too.
so I got 2 leather. Well, the one's like cheap, so it's leather. So I got brown one, I got black leather one, and then I got my carbon fiber one, then my precisionist. So I mean,
And you can swap watch straps. There's different types of watch straps.
I
There's
don't
leather. There's
I don't
metal.
change.
There's NATO straps. There's
Yeah.
all this shit. You can go down this whole thing if you want to
Yeah,
of further customizing. But
it has to match your outfit.
No, it doesn't.
that's why I get just stainless steel watches now. 'cause you
Stainless
just put
steel
them on.
matches all of them.
Or gold.
Stainless steel
No,
and
gold does not match all.
Man, you know what? I had a gold Seiko for a while. Probably the most fun watch I've ever had, but it was fucking huge, and you just looked
Why do
like
you mean fun?
because it was like it didn't make any sense. It was just this giant gold. It wasn't actually gold; it was gold tone, but like diving Seiko,
Like
what-
painfully 80s mobster? Or
yeah,
what?
kind of like just a little
Over the
stupid.
top?
Yeah, it was on top on purpose, so it was fun. But
Yeah.
you know, do people look at you and go, "Jesus Christ, what a fucking
That's a
moron?" Or
look.
yeah,
It's a look.
I can't do gold.
I loved it.
I cannot do gold.
it was SRPC 44. That's the other thing you start getting into
Yeah.
model numbers and
I'm
shit,
definitely not there.
date ranges from serial numbers and stuff.
I used to be able to tell you most of the numbers for the Momos.
Don't do it.
I can't anymore.
Don't do it. But if you want to, let me know. I'll be your dealer.
For a long time, I was like collecting stereo parts, car audio
Yeah,
stuff.
to have
Like-
'em.
Yeah.
Like I have owned lots of pretty high end subwoofers that I never used.
Yep.
I never used. Some of them never even came out of the box. And so like that turned
It's
into
the same thing.
It turned into a problem, like a
the same
legit total problem. But like Robbie's seen what happens when I start collecting shit. Then next thing you know, I got
Storage
200
container.
fucking Nerf guns.
Yeah, storage unit of them.
And 200 different types. I'd be interested to know
I still have most of them.
what other people collect, because I think there's a lot of, again, there's an analogy there. There's a parallel.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what the people who listen to this on the group collect.
Yeah,
I hope
that
it's
is the big
Nerf guns.
takeaway here. I want to know what other
I
people
hope it's
collect.
Nerf guns.
You and maybe
Well,
like one or
we'll
two.
get guns and knives. That'll be the other two, because I went through a knife phase for a while.
Yeah, a lot of people have knives and guns.
Yeah.
And I'm down quite a few knives. I've still got a Benchmade and a Kershaw, but I'm down. I don't have many.
Never
of those
gone
anymore.
down the knife thing. If I have a knife, I'll probably cut myself. My the multiple scars on my hands prove that. So I don't even carry a utility blade at work.
Nope.
Like everybody I work with does.
Not you.
And so I just go, here, open this.
Here, you cut this.
You open this.
I got my one butterfly
It's a
knife when I was
safety
14.
thing.
And
I
that's,
was gonna say it sounds like a safety thing. This is their problem. If they cut themselves, that's on them. You gotta fill out the
I've been
report.
to the ER enough for
This is somebody else's problem. Low risk
somebody else to-
behavior.
yeah,
Low risk
exactly.
behavior.
Yep.
Exactly.
So anyway, I'll drop that. But that's why. I'll explain to people why and the analogy between watches and cars and how I got there. I think that's it. Let's do a couple news stories.
Did you? So I have to ask.
Yeah.
You went to a convention?
Is
Is that like a?
It wasn't
like an auto show.
It was more like a
Is that like the Chicago
kind of.
Auto
It was
Show?
kind of like that, but it was for
Is it-
small brands, like
a lot of
brands that-
vendors.
But is it
vendors, yeah.
Is it a flea market or is
No,
it
new.
is it a swap meet or a car
No,
Show.
or an auto show?
it's like an auto show.
So it's
Closer.
manufacturers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like PRI.
Yeah.
Yes, but yes, it's
Much
like
smaller.
that, but
It's like
small
PRI.
small brands.
Okay.
Yes.
That's cool. That's
'Cause
cool that that's
Get
a
into
thing.
that.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to a gun show.
No, because that's
No, it's more than
gun
that.
shows are swap meets.
Are they?
It's
Yeah,
this
I
is
that's not
assume there's
it's
more
in
vendors.
between.
manufacturers.
It's in between.
It's not manufacturers selling guns. It's
I've never been to a gun show. I just saw that Creative Arms went to a gun show.
oh, you've
and
been to the gun show, Robbie.
Well, yeah, the
Every
Robbie
time
goes
we
to gun
walk,
show every
time
morning.
we walk into this house, we're in the gun show.
the gun show. But no.
But yeah, so if that is the kind of stuff you're
That
interested
sounds cool.
But it is cool, but at the
Like,
same
is there a
time,
bunch of really douchey people
yeah,
there?
Yes.
that's the thing that sucks about watches.
So there were
is
a lot
that-
of Porsches.
No, not at this because it's
So a lot of
pretty small.
BMWs.
Probably a lot of BMWs.
Yeah,
It was in
okay.
Chicago,
That's
so I didn't
fair.
get to see the parking lot.
That's fair.
But that is the thing that sucks about watches
Is this like 100 people, 1,000 people?
at any given time maybe 100, but like
okay.
traffic through
Yeah,
probably well, way more than that.
Yeah,
obviously.
well into the thousands.
But it's
I'm
not
sure.
like you're not taking over a convention hall.
No, it was
Convention
like a
room?
No, it was like an art space thing,
Oh.
as you can think about Chicago, the kind of crap that they would have. But yeah, like an art. It was like
Like
an
a
art
gallery.
gallery thing that they had rented for this event.
Oh, okay.
Because that's about the right size for
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, you
yeah.
got tables
Okay,
and stuff,
I
and you're
gotcha.
just showing stuff off booths basically.
Most expensive watch you put on last weekend? Just for funsies.
$17,000 Bulgari Octo Finissimo, because I have to go into Bulgari and torture myself every time I'm in a big city.
Change.
I'm surprised. I was gonna say.
Why don't you
I
own a
thought,
Cadillac?
You know, I don't think I like Cadillac.
I feel like that would be the cheapest route to Bulgari ownership for you.
an old Escalade. Should get an old Escalade.
Like when they're putting $100,000
Yeah.
watches on your wrist,
Yeah.
you could just buy a $10,000 Escalade.
Escalade. Have one of those. That's a good point. It's cheaper than the watch.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, that's a grail watch for me, but it's really hard to just. I mean, even if you know, say something crazy happened, you got a $20,000 bonus, you're gonna turn around and spend it on
on a
a
watch.
watch, and then you're done.
I think that you could spend it on worse things.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, I don't know. Do these things, is it like when you buy a car? Like you put it on your wrist and you walk out the door and now it's worth 30% less?
Depends on what it is.
But no, probably not.
Well,
Yeah.
with the one you're, like if I bought a $20,000
not the one that I bought.
Bulgari.
No. It's
know?
probably still worth
Almost the same.
90% of that.
And in 5 years, will it be worth more or less?
Might be worth more.
So that's
knows?
not a bad place to put money.
I don't want to tell people to do that, but I don't.
No,
think,
I know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand.
It's not
Yeah,
an
'cause
investment.
It's not an investment, but yeah, like there's stuff that I have bought that has appreciated. I haven't sold it, so it's not like I've made money, but it's
Yeah.
like it's worth more now than I bought it for, because I mainly buy used.
Car guys do that shit all
Yeah,
the time.
absolutely.
I'll people buy cars just to flip them.
Yep. So that stuff's out there, but then you kind of run the risk of, do you like that, or do a bunch of other people like that, and you're seeking affirmation from them so that you can be
I'm
cool.
just trying to make a little extra money so I can buy something else that I do like.
Maybe, yeah. But you have to go into, Omegas or something like that. Bulgari, that's not a great one.
I don't know, man.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
They're all.
I wouldn't expect you to be able to
nothing I
pull
would
that
even look at.
There's stuff out there that's not popular, and if you pay retail for it, you may take 50% in the shorts. And do you like it that much? Do you care? Are you going to sell it?
I have never, ever in my life made a decision based on whether or not I'm going to make money on it,
Yeah.
Here's a question.
which is not something that I probably should be proud of. But it's,
What I find weird are the ones that are thousands of dollars.
Yep.
But they have rubber bands.
So
Because I can't.
a good point.
I can't wear a rubber.
rubber band, as a not watch guy, screams cheap watch to me.
But that's the problem because they're not. Like this Bulgari I have up right now is at that price on this one. Buy it now is $2,500 with a rubber band.
and you can get
Momos are that way
you can
too.
get Rolexes on rubber that are solid gold that are $25,000,
Rubber
$30,000.
bands are so not good.
I don't like them. That's been one thing I'll have an interest in basically any type of watch as long as it doesn't have a rubber.
See, the weird thing about
Whoa.
the weird thing about rubber bands is that they at one point served a function. So all watches at one point were derived from something that served a function. So they came from diving.
Yep.
Dive watches. Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Back when Rolex was a tool watch company and not a watch for tools.
I'm glad you said it because I was getting ready. That's where I was headed with it.
But yeah, you would put it on a rubber strap because it had a long tail on it,
Yeah.
and you could wrap it around your wetsuit, and then you could take it off. You could put it on your wrist, and still use the same strap. And obviously the rubber's water resistant as opposed to leather, and it's a little easier to deal with than a metal band that may not have an expansion joint in it. So it made sense. And then 40 years ago, 30 years ago, watches were not a luxury item. That's something that's come about as a result of some amazing marketing and a lot of rap music, honestly.
That's not even true because Newman didn't rap.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, but that's marketing. I mean, Rolex
Yeah,
picked
that's
up on
fair.
the fact that Newman wore a Rolex, and or just people in general.
So
said,
was
"Hey,
there a
Newman
point
wore
in
Rolex."
time where Rolexes were reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, you could, if you talk about when the Submariner came out, which is probably the most popular Rolex of all time. I don't want to say a normal guy could buy one, but I think at one point somebody did the math, or I did an inflation calculator or something like that. But it was like $1,600 or $1,700 equivalent in 1960, which I understand is for a lot of people. They go, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, really? Who's
Yeah,
spending?
but
that much
if
money?
it's a tool.
Yeah,
Your life literally
changes
your
everything.
life literally depended on it.
Yeah, because how many mechanics do we know who
Right.
spent way more than that? on
Right.
stuff? I have a couple $1,000s in tools, and I don't even need to have my own tools for the job I work
Right.
at.
So
I use my own tools, but that's different.
the Navy. I don't want to say exactly who because I'll get it wrong, but governments, militaries, et cetera, would buy watches from Rolex and Tudor, which is a sub brand of Rolex, and they were expensive, and they bought them because they worked.
That's
Always.
worth the money.
Right, that's worth the money because people's lives depended on it, and missions depended on it, et cetera, et cetera. In the last 10 years, the cost of a Rolex Submariner has doubled from $4,000 to $8,000, or a little more than $8,000.
New?
Yeah. So, but you can imagine back in 2008-ish, spending $4,000 on a Rolex. It's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but
crazy
that's
money.
way better. It's way easier to stomach than $8,500.
I guess.
I mean, it's a lot of money.
It's a ton of money. Buy a pretty decent car.
Yeah, and it's just, it's luxury branding. They can get away with it. They figured out how to do it. I mean, there's stuff that sells on the, you literally buy it and then you turn around, you put it on eBay, and you doubled your money. You spent $12,000, you turn around and sold it for $25,000 the next day.
So people are prospecting them just like they do cars. New cars.
Right. I've heard rumors that people who run hedge funds will buy watches and flip them because you just made 100% profit in a day, essentially.
And like buy money with hedge fund, or buy these watches with hedge fund money?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
And then flip them. So you can basically do whatever you want in a hedge fund.
As long as it's making money.
So that's the part about it that sucks. But if you go into it saying, I really like this, I'm excited about this, I get enjoyment out of this, that's great.
Oh, one weird thing that Oakley did with their rubber bands, they impregnated smells into them.
That's the stupidest
That's
thing
too
I've
far.
ever heard.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, but he was selling me on it. I was like, no, seriously. I just want to look at this ridiculous stainless steel one. I have no interest in buying it. It's way overpriced in my opinion, and it's ugly. I just want to see it. He's like, you should check out this rubber one. It smells
Oakley
like vanilla.
has made so many. Oakley as a
Questionable
brand
things.
is a weird thing.
Didn't Oakley start out as like they had like a purpose? Say, like safety sunglasses or something?
They're like surf gear, I thought.
Surf gear or something?
That's
I don't know, but they used to make one that went under your race helmet, and instead of coming out around and going over your ears, like they came off the top of both of the lenses and went straight up and over your head.
I'm out.
Yeah, I remember those.
Oh man! And there used to be like this guy who was a pro mod driver back when pro mods were cool, and he was sponsored by Oakley, and he'd get they get it to the big end of the racetrack, and you're getting out of your car, and the guy's running over there with the mic and the video camera. And
You still got that shit on.
Yeah, and he pulls his helmet off, and he's rocking this like these like bleach blonde hair with like this stupid flat top cut, and these Oakleys that come up and straight over his head, just rocking them, dude. It was so cool
this the
when
90s?
I was like 8.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was the 90s.
It was
for sure.
the
Oh my God.
greatest. I loved it.
find
Oakley
it?
over the top sunglasses on eBay right now. Buy it now price.
$9.99.
I was gonna say
Is there a decimal?
No, that was a straight up number. It was $1,000.
I was gonna say $500.
In the middle, $756.
Damn, son.
Got a picture of him, Robbie?
Yeah,
I want
let me
Michael
pull-
to see
let me pull
these.
him up.
Because
I think I remember seeing somebody wearing
It
those.
looks like the ones
Oh,
Vin Diesel
yeah,
wore.
no.
Pitch Black. It looks like what you wore on Pitch Black.
Yeah, yeah,
That wasn't
yeah.
what I was thinking it was. That's horrible.
They come straight up and over your head.
That's a bad deal. Feel sorry for people if they wear those.
You can wear them under your race car helmet. You don't even have to take them off.
No, it would feel weird on the top. I
Yeah,
mean, the
it would.
helmet
It'd be
rests on
awful.
your head. It feels weird.
Yeah, but when you're an Oakley sponsored driver, you do what you got to do.
Yes, and here's the watch I was looking
I
at.
love it. It's so good.
They had the weirdest band.
Yeah, it's a little out of control.
It's like a chain
Gaudy.
almost.
Gaudy's probably the right word.
Yep. So,
Too
Oakley's-
loud for
Oakley's
my
good.
my preference here.
It's so ridiculous.
anyway, let's move it on. How about
Yeah,
that?
let's do the news.
Oakley's
Do
kind of
some
like
news.
Harley.
Apex Pro.
Ugh.
They just build really crazy stuff, put crazy money on it, and people buy it because it's Oakley.
Yes.
It's kind of like Harley.
Made out of white
Harley
plastic.
accessories.
Definitely the accessories.
You know what I mean? Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Not the bikes.
It's a brand.
But I'm
It's the
talking about
brand.
the accessories.
Yeah,
right.
the-
Yeah. It's a
The
look.
lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. There you
It's
go.
not a look. It's a lifestyle.
There you
Yep.
go. I
Lifestyle
like it.
brand.
So,
Okay.
news.
Tesla. Okay,
Yes.
let me start over. Sorry, I wasn't paying
Okay.
attention. As Tesla's age, we are starting to see longevity problems.
Yes.
So, well, yeah, but like, one of the things that everybody, like, one of the things that people are, why do we have noise?
Yeah, what are you
What's
doing, man?
happening?
I didn't do anything.
It would have to be Mike
It's
or
you.
Robbie's computer.
What's
because
going on?
Robbie's computer is the only one that gets audio to
I'm not
us.
hooked up to anything.
He's not hooked up to anything. Sorry, guys. We'll have to chase this down later.
your-
I'm not seeing
It's
it.
your website for this this article.
Yeah,
it
it's
has a
gotta
video
be,
halfway
it's gotta
down.
be an ad.
Oh. Sorry, it's not playing on the recording. I didn't know what I thought you guys had a buzz.
No, it's
okay.
Ignore us. Sorry. Moving on.
It's a video.
Yeah, I was gonna
Nice.
say halfway down there's
but
a
one
video.
of the things that people are trying to sell the public on for electric cars is their simplicity. And
In theory.
the problems that these Teslas in specific that they're talking about having isn't the electric engine. It's not the mechanicals of the car as a car.
Correct.
But it only has so many read-write cycles to its brain.
Yes.
Right? And that's what they're talking about. And like it goes through so many read-write cycles so rapidly because it's doing so many things and it wears them out in a relatively short period of time.
Like 4 or 5 years.
And then these brains that control important parts of the car, which I don't know that they really defined what it.
So it's
Did they say?
It's somewhere in the article. I'm not going to scroll through it and close this for it, but
that's fine.
But it's basically a chip that's soldered to the ECU.
Yep.
So it's not something you can just go in and be like, we'll do a quick change on this. No, it's the ECU that has all of your information for that specific car, the VIN number, all that stuff. So it's VIN specific. So it's not like you can just go out and swap out your ECU and fix it. It's not that easy, especially in a car with this complicated electronics.
Yeah.
So when these go bad, it's the equivalent of a phone bricking itself.
Right.
It's a big
Except
deal.
it's in your car.
It's your car. So it's basically being your phone being obsolete in 2 years. Your car's obsolete in 4.
So I think that this is one of those deals that drives me nuts as the old soul that I am. And it's kind of a result of technology for the sake of technology.
Mm-hmm.
Like Teslas are over the top high tech cars.
Yes.
Because that's what they are. That's what they've built as a brand. And so this computer has so much information coming to it so rapidly, so often, that it can't handle it for long periods of time. It's just like, I quit. I'm done with this shit.
It just wears out.
Right. And
it's also a huge oversight when it comes to design, because you could have designed around this. Absolutely.
Is it?
The flash stuff, like, again, I'm not an electronics expert, never pretend to be. I'm a mechanical guy. But based on my understanding of how this is set up, the flash that they're using to do these rewrites on, they knew this was going to happen. This is a huge oversight.
I will never, ever, ever believe that companies today don't build things with the intention of them failing over a period of time.
You don't believe that they do that with the expectation that they'll fail? Or I
will never believe that companies don't do that. Because
too many negatives here, and you're confusing me.
They do it.
They do
planned
it.
Obsolescence.
They do it. Yeah, planned obsolescence. Absolutely on purpose. And I'm not convinced that's not what's going on here.
Fair enough.
So there was somebody who is some sort of Tesla repair technician who tweeted directly at Elon Musk about this problem.
Yep.
And he just nonchalantly dismisses it.
Yes.
Like his reply to that tweet was, "It'll be better." That's all he said.
What will be better? The new ones that I have to buy?
Yeah, exactly.
You gonna let me trade this car in?
Yeah.
No, it's bricked.
Yeah. Which means that now not only do I have to buy a new Tesla, but they can't make it to the used car market because they're junk already.
Yes.
I wondered why the used ones were so expensive still.
Just like my phones.
I had a lot of concerns about buying a 6-year-old Tesla now? 5-year-old Tesla?
I mean honestly,
but they're still like $50,000.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
But what are you getting for $50,000? I mean, where's your guarantee?
There isn't one.
Yeah. That seems crazy.
And I realize that these cars are very, very, very early in a development cycle.
They are.
I mean, even when you, like when GM or Ford or whoever builds a car, even if it's a ground up new platform, it's still not as new as a Tesla because they've been building cars for 100 years and they know some of the mistakes not to make. They know what they can and can't do to make these things work. And Tesla's got to learn that. And I realize that. It is what it is, but like, I don't know, man. It just seems like they're dismissing, or that, his dismissive nature towards that tweet and the fact that I'm quite convinced of planned obsolescence doesn't surprise me at all.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. I get, but at the same time, I have a real hard time with a company that's that quick on obsolescence. I mean, the fact that, you have to
think of this as a piece of technology, not a car.
Which exactly, it's exactly what it is.
Computers and phones and all that stuff. I mean, dude, I've been having
all sorts of issues
with my phone as of recent.
Oh yeah,
that have no explainable reason.
Right, and this computer's not going to get faster. It will eventually get slower to the point where I have to replace it.
Yeah,
your Tesla's going to do the same thing.
Yeah,
and And it's not just like it's not like they can recall and be like, some of these cars, they're going to have this. Every single one of these cars will have to deal with this eventually. It could be 4 years. It could be 20 years. It's a ticking time bomb.
Well, I think it's
I mean, they might know a number of how many flashes it takes to get there.
Right.
And
there'll be a percentage variance for every device.
Right. So, yeah, it depends on how many miles, what you've done with it, whatever. But still, it's 100% failure rate. Eventually.
Right. Well,
Not,
everything has a 100% failure rate eventually.
Fair enough.
Like this is
This has a timeline that's reasonable.
Yeah, and a timeline
unreasonable.
A timeline that they probably could have predicted when it was manufactured.
I'm sure that somebody at Tesla knows the answer, the number. They know exactly how many flashes it takes before it fails,
and they know how many that car does in short periods of time. But this also brings up the fact that as we march towards an autonomous future, that the length of time that we're going to be able to use those cars is going to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like you can't use a electronic device for 15 years, you aren't going to be able to use a car that long.
Nope.
It's just not going to work that long.
Well, I don't think new Audi A8s last that long. I mean, how long does that car last before it doesn't make?
A lot of those are mechanical failures too.
Well, are they though? I mean, is it mechanically failing, or is a series of sensors and programming failing? And it's fixable, but at what cost? And then eventually, people say, I'm not gonna pay for this anymore.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of the quality issues that I had with my Audi were as much physical parts that were not intelligent that were failing. I talked about this with a couple of guys on Facebook not that long ago. The dipstick tube from the top of the engine down to the block was fucking plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Hard plastic.
Of course, it's gonna break.
And one time I was checking my oil, as you do, and it fucking broke. Guess what? I can't drive this car for 3 days because the dealership doesn't stock it, so I had to order it from ECS Tuning.
Yeah.
And then the using hard plastic coolant elbows and stuff like that fail eventually. And it gets to a point at some point where I can't open the hood of this car without something breaking. Get it out of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I had a ton of problem with MAF sensors. I had a ton of problem with electronic things, fuel pumps and all kinds of stuff. But I also had to deal with a bunch of non-intelligent parts failing. And I think as we march towards trying to be ever cheaper to manufacture things to increase our profit margin, you're going to get more and more and more of this hard plastic bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what brand, probably Volkswagen at some level. I heard somebody was using some sort of plastic composite oil pan. That sounds fucking stupid.
Yeah, who was that? It was recent.
Yeah,
I think we talked about.
Sure it was.
I think we talked about it on the show.
Man, I really want to say it's Porsche.
I think you're right with Volkswagen.
I almost guarantee it falls into the Volkswagen
group.
Honestly, that sounds right to me.
But somebody was using a hard plastic oil pan. That's not gonna work.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's gonna get brittle after heat cycle after heat because oil gets hot. People, newsflash.
Huh? Now that you mention it, it does get kind of warm.
Yeah. It's not just the coolant that heats up in that engine.
Nope.
And so, heat cycle after heat cycle, that shit's gonna break for sure.
Oh yeah.
And one day you're gonna hit a rabbit and you're gonna dump all your oil all over the road.
There's a lot of potholes out there.
That too. But even if the car's got a bash plate and it's built up and stuff like that, eventually it's going to break.
Yeah. That plastic's not going to last.
No. I mean, Volkswagen had a hard time building cast oil pans that didn't crack. Michael's probably halfway lucky he got out of the other side of his VR6 ownership.
Two of them.
Without having that happen.
Yeah.
Or you did have one crack?
No, I hadn't. I had the Audi and the VR6.
The VR6 engines were really notorious for having for cracking oil pans.
Jeez.
I think that's because everybody slammed the shit out
Well,
of them.
there's that too. And
Yeah,
then
I mean,
that motor in that engine bay, it's lower in that engine bay than the 1.8T because it's a bigger engine, and so it has to be.
with the SR20s, it was that way too, because Gretty makes a cast aluminum baffled larger oil pan that
Right.
everyone goes to. But it's cast aluminum, so it doesn't take much to crack
Yeah, I
them.
think that's what the Volkswagen was too. And like, I could flick that and crack it.
But then, yeah, when you drop it low or do anything, it doesn't take much to break it.
Yeah.
So it's a performance part.
Yeah.
Very expensive because it's Gretty.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some happier news. News. News.
The
Man, I'm
Nuge?
tired.
Ted Nugent?
We could do the Nuge. Hell yeah, dude. We could talk to the Nuge. Nuge want to come on?
Yeah, I would
That'd be
totally
fucking
talk
sick, dude.
He'd probably drive one of these.
He would. I'm sure he has lots of Dodge products.
God, I hope so.
America.
Yeah. Long story short, Dodge has produced 500 million horsepower.
This is not the greatest.
Who came up with this?
How do you track that? That's a lot of.
You get an intern.
digging, yeah.
Yeah.
You just get exactly. You get an intern.
That's what you don't pay him
Somebody's
nothing.
sitting in an office.
They probably know.
Someone's sitting in a meeting like, how many horsepower do you think we've made? Like,
Intern.
I got an intern who's going to figure that out.
He's got a whole week. It's going to cost us like $30. It'll be fine.
Over 1 billion hamburgers sold and 500 million horsepower.
That's so
America.
America. 500 million horsepower. Get out of
They,
here.
they probably know engine production numbers from every year.
Yeah, I'll say if
Back
you're at,
to
if you're
who
at
knows
Dodge,
when.
I bet you could look that up.
And then you just got to put it in a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
You know,
really,
it'll probably
like-
take you a couple days, and then
Yeah.
you're done.
Yeah. You just need production numbers for like total production numbers
Yep.
and your rated horsepower numbers for those engines and a math equation.
That would, yeah. So if you had all that, it'd be no problem.
Right.
Sure, it was relatively simple.
It's the best.
But it's good.
It's so funny. And then the other thing I love about this, so they were hoping to make it by the end of 2019 so that, you know,
Finish the year strong.
finish the
2020
year strong,
is
and
the
then
year.
and then they were going to probably use that in a bunch of their advertising campaigns and stuff like that for 2020. And they got there a few months ahead of time, and one of the things they attributed to that is they're running this deal, which I haven't heard of, but I think it's fantastic.
It's awesome.
$10 per horsepower off of your car, and that's awesome. Is there any more of an American? Like Murica sale.
If you spend more, if you buy more horsepower, you save more money.
$10 per horsepower.
$7,000 off your new Charger.
It's so good. It's the
Or
best.
Challenger.
The best.
Congrats to Dodge.
Every once in a while.
That's fun.
Plus, you add on like dealer incentives and all that other stuff on top of that. That's good
Sure,
value.
I'll go buy a Dodge.
Yeah, that's good value.
Get Scat Pack.
Hell yeah. Take
$12,000 off your brand new.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd get a 392 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever notice how fucking loud those things are? You ever just be sitting in your car and you just get blown up by a Dodge product, a Hemi product?
Yeah.
Has that happened to you guys?
I don't-
Happens to me all the damn
And
time.
I'm
Like,
never, ever mad about it. It's because
I'm like-
you're in a fucking Porsche.
I'm like, why is that shit so loud?
it's because you're in a
good.
fucking Porsche.
No,
they don't do that to you in a Blazer.
yeah.
Probably not. It's true.
I'll be honest. Our parking lot at work looks like a Dodge dealer. There's like 4 Challengers. No, 5 Challengers.
Yeah.
And when they leave work, and every time I'm just like, come on,
Yeah, let's do
light them
this.
up.
Don't waste my time.
They never do
What's
it.
the point of buying one if you're not going to do burnouts?
I
I think that's
one,
all
the
they
one
do.
guy daily drives it.
Part
he's
of
got the
500 million
for him.
horsepower. Don't you understand?
Yeah, we want to
You
hear
have a
it.
legacy to uphold.
Yeah.
It's not really an option.
Burn all tires.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Yes.
Including destroy all tires. So.
Well, happy Murica to everybody listening.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you guys next week.